Good day, amigos. Good day, amigos. I am here, Double H, to give a little review of Angels in America, Angel en Amérique. Yeah, man. This is something I've always wanted to watch because obviously I missed it because it was on HP, I think, in 2004. And a lot of people were making a lot of noise about it, and obviously it was like a thing that Al Pacino was in, Meryl Streep was in, Jeffrey Wright was in, James Cromwell. So there were a lot of big time people in it, and I watched it, because I rented it out, and it's on 2 discs. So it's based off a play from 92 or 94, I think, and it's in 2 acts, and I think six chapters. So 3 chapters for each act. And I mean, I was thinking, how would I even describe the story of this thing? It's set in the 80s. It's looking at of pretty much AIDS, when AIDS was pretty much rampant and very rampant and high in the 1980s, especially among the homosexual community, And so this is looking at the life of, because there are many characters within this, and all these characters all weave into each other's stories. So the central character, I guess, is this homosexual man who he gets AIDS, or gets diagnosed with AIDS, and he's with his boyfriend, obviously, and this causes a friction, and hence his boyfriend then leaves, and but also, so that's one story. So this is him dealing with the fact that he has AIDS, having all of these illusions and all these dreams, and also then there are these angels that start to come and talk about a reckoning or something like that. So it's pretty. So he's dealing with 2 levels: him having AIDS and him having these religious, fantastical visions of angels and so forth. And we have another story, which is a lawyer played by Roy Cohn, and it's just a lawyer called Roy Cohn, played by Al Pacino, and his protege, I guess, or his apprentice, I guess, is played by Patrick Wilson, who obviously was in Watchmen as Night Owl. And so for him, he's a Jewish lawyer, extremely racist, extremely Republican, extremely conservative, and also we now learn that he also has to deal with AIDS, and he now has to deal with AIDS based on his own, based on the kind of character that he is, and at the main. So really, there's so much stuff. So you also have the Patrick Wilson guy, who he's having issues with his wife, and he is pretty much finding out about his sexuality. Is he a heterosexual or is he a homosexual? So he's actually having to fight between these 2 things. And obviously you have Meryl Streep, who plays the mother of Patrick Wilson, and she's obviously a Mormon, a Mormon, which I think it's a type of religion, and she's obviously, when the Patrick Wilson now starts to think that he may possibly be a homosexual, the mother then starts to, try to get involved, because homosexuality is like a no within her religion. So she has to deal with that. So really, I think, and obviously you also have the extremely underrated Jeffrey Wright as well, who plays 2 characters. One of the characters he plays is within the dream of Patrick Wilson's wife, but I think the character really steals the show is of a homosexual nurse who is friends with the protagonist and the protagonist's boyfriend, and he's obviously is he deals with the extremely racist Roy Cohn, played by Al Pacino, and he also is pretty much caught in the middle of both of these people that he knows, i.e. the protagonist and the protagonist's friend, and also the fact that they're going through some tough times on the relationship, and the fact that the protagonist has AIDS. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there to chew, and I think really, for me personally, as a whole, I didn't actually really like it. I just thought that it was a bit too pretentious, and I think it's the fact that it's based off a play, and I just don't really like theater, because I just think theater is too in your face, too preachy, and too ABC, and a bit too less literal, really. So it is a bit too literal for moi. But that being said, I mean, the thing, obviously this was written by, I think, Evan Kushner. Was written by this guy called Kushner, and I think it's raised some very, very interesting points, and I think it was a very, very honest and real, no holds barred look at homosexuality in the 80s, and these guys dealing with the fact that they were having AIDS and being tested positive for HIV back then in the 80s, and so yeah, man, that was really the thing that got me. It's just how it was supposed to be like living back there, and also raising issues about finding out about people's sexuality and how they were having to deal with it based on their background. But I think really, I mean, for me, the triumph of this really was, I mean, I thought the direction was very good by Mike Nichols. I mean, it was very well directed. It had a very 90s feel to it. So a very philosophical aura about it. And I think that was to do obviously with the director, and also again the extreme, and I can't believe this guy doesn't have an Oscar. The extremely underrated Thomas Newman, who this guy, he pretty much delivers all the time. Because even when because I was saying, like, man, this music is really good, and yeah, hence it's the guy that did Road to Perdition and so many other films, I mean the music went hand in hand with the images, very well, but I think really, man, the performances of this were amazing. Obviously, Al Pacino again gave another big performance. Meryl Streep, because she acted as two characters, she gave a very good performance. Emma Thompson, she also did two characters as well. She acted very well, and even the other guys who are less well known, like the protagonist's boyfriend, Patrick Wilson, the Patrick Wilson's wife, they all acted very well. James Cromwell, even if he was only for a few scenes, the doctor of Al Pacino, he did very, very well for such a short and small role, But again, I think Jeffrey Wright, man, I think he was pretty much the one that stood out, because again, just like his acting, like you really felt like him. I know this guy really is this character, and obviously, one of the key scenes, I think you can even find it on YouTube, is when Jeffrey Wright's character is talking to Al Pacino's character about what heaven is like, and again, just like the acting between both of them, the chemistry that they both had, knowing that Al Pacino's character is obviously a racist, but just the way it was played, the way it was directed, but really that's just the acting, and really Jeffrey Wright's acting, I mean, it was truly amazing, it was really amazing. So I think really, I mean, I would recommend this just for quality acting, because I feel like everybody acted very well in this, but I think that really, man, I mean, Jeffrey Wright really gave me, like, that's an award-winning performance that he gave. It was truly outstanding, and I learned that he was actually in the original play and won a Tony Award for the original play. But yeah, I mean, I think that again, it's just not my thing as a whole. The way it was done, I mean, the subject matter I think is very important, and a very serious subject matter. But I think that the way it was done, it was too theatrical, and there's just sometimes where I think, okay, this is just a bit too weird, like what a guy's saying, and guys just seem to talk a bit too much, and the dialogue just seemed to drag and be over excessive on the mind. But I mean, that being said, I mean, I would definitely recommend it. I don't see no reason why. So yeah, man, a good flick. And yeah, Jeffrey Wright, man, that guy is a serious actor, man. He really, really, really needs a big time role. But again, Al Pacino, man, the guy delivers as always. You are going down.